Oh, it's not plugged in. It's not plugged in. It's not plugged into the Zoom recorder. I'm so stupid. And welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Welcome back in episode 350. Here we are doing the most we can possibly do at this point in time. I just finished a conversation with a comedian. You'll hear that conversation at some point next week. I believe it'll be next week. Yeah, it should be next week. It'll be next week. I'll stop. It doesn't matter. It'll be next week. Who cares? Except for me and the several 100,000 people that listen to it. That's the one that breaks out. Welcome back in. The reason why I said we're getting through it, or where the fuck I said up top, is that I recorded the Constitutionals. Now I'm recording it now. Oh, usually I record this show on Thursdays, and it's supposed to release on Thursdays as well. But I held it off for a day. Because I was putting together Late Night Lately, which records on Fridays and comes out on Fridays, which is the late night show. And there's a lot of news about Jimmy Kimmel live being suspended from ABC. So I knew that I was going to talk about it on Late Night Lately. I had to do some shuffling with some of the stories and move them over to Late Night Lately. If you want to hear my entire take on that, and God knows you want to. But if you want to hear my entire take on that saga, that bullshit that Jimmy Kimmel and his staff have to go through because people like Brendan Carr and Donald J. Trump and the rest of those MAGA asshats, something I say in that episode, because they want to be little fucking dirt bags and complain about something that's not even, it wasn't even a joke, it was an aside, and he called them MAGA gang. And anyway, but if you want to hear all that entire saga, and if you want to see all the news surrounding it, if you want to see all the links that I have of trusted news sources that are covering it, then go listen to it on Late Night Lately, the late night show. It's a wonderful episode. It's very long. It'll probably be longer than this. Anyway, I record that episode. I wrote jokes for the monologue. Also, the monologue is back. I used to do a monologue for Late Night Lately, and then I stopped doing it for a very long time. And last week I did it for the first time in a long time. And then this week I had one topic that I wrote 5 okay jokes about. Actually, I think 2 of them are really funny. I'll submit them to Lino by fax. And I'll get my $20. Oh my gosh. Yeah, where's Jay? You know, we got we have Fallon and Myers and Colbert and Jon Stewart and Letterman and now Conan. I just saw that pop up on Instagram. We have their responses to the situation. I'm sure Bill Maher is gonna, bring out jump. Stop the clock. Start the clock. Sure, Bill Maher is gonna say something tonight that's not helpful. But the short of it is, Kimmel suspended. and everybody's coming out and they're like, why is this happening? This is so stupid. But I wonder what, bouncing off of what I was saying earlier, going back to what I was saying earlier, I wonder what Leno has to say about it. Because, he's a drumper. He's a drum guy.
If, I mean, the role of a late night host is you just gotta be quiet. You gotta be quiet. I never spend any of my late night money. I just do my car thing. I do my car thing. I buy some cars.
Turn into Mike Tyson. But anyway, but beyond all of that, I also have been feeling like shit all week long. This is the most I've ever cussed an episode. For a usually clean show. But I've been sickish all week long. From like last Friday until basically this morning, I've had a sinus infection. And it only grew worse, like starting Saturday. It was like Friday, I felt it coming. And I assumed, I was like, oh, maybe I'm getting a cold. No, it was a sinus infection. It was horrible. I was like, just like truly felt so bad if I wasn't working out because the blood was flowing while I was working out. So I didn't feel I didn't feel as bad as I did. I think I even looked bad too, but you heard it. I think even last Thursday when I recorded the Constitutionals, I think you even heard it then because I was getting stopped up and everything. And then for the first time in my life, I had to take Sudafed, and I took a Sudafed PM on Monday going into Tuesday. And I'm not kidding. That's the first time I've ever taken a PM over the counter drug, PM drug period. And I was told it was going to knock me out. So I took it at like 8. And usually I go to bed I try to be in bed by 9, but I usually go to sleep by like 9:30. So I took it at 8 and I thought, you know what? I'll just let it happen. And I was told, don't go to the gym, you'll be fine. Like just sleep in, whatever. I woke up at my normal time of 3:30ish. It's a little after 3:30. I woke up at my normal time and I was just like a little, I felt I was a little out of it. I don't know if that was a placebo effect or not, but I took I spent my hour getting ready for the gym and everything. And then I went at some point in the morning when I was I drink an espresso before I go to the gym on leg day and on boxing day because I need that extra energy. But at some point I was drinking espresso, I went, I don't know if I'm going to be able to push as much weight on my leg day on Tuesday as I need to. I said, fine. I have 3 pull exercises with my legs. One was a push. I'll make sure, and one was a snatch. So I have 1 pull exercise, which is a sumo deadlift. I'll if I need to take it easy on the push stuff, I'll take it easy. I get there. I have a banner workout, just like a wonderful, excellent workout. Again, the blood was pumping. I did do snatches, which was something that I did have to slow down. I was like, I went, you know what? I'm going to use this excuse to do, less weight. I worked I've mentioned this before. When I got out of college, everybody was getting jobs. They graduate college, they go right to a job. They're getting married. It's the South. That's what happens. When I graduated college, I did not have a job. I had to work in a factory, worked at a UPS factory, and I was on a conveyor belt. This is before Bluetooth headphones were what they are now. This is like, oh God, I can only imagine being at the factory now with AirPods. Life is so much easier. We also, God, the bathroom breaks. Ugh. To be an adult and then not be able to go to the bathroom is just, what an insane notion. It's a struggle. People are getting arrested by ICE. And I'm like, it was horrible. Anyway, but on that conveyor belt, I was shoveling packages that were coming in bags. And that messed up my shoulder, man. It really did. And only now, only within the last year. So that was 10 years. So today's 2025. Today is 2025. It is it is only getting better, mostly because I am actually doing actionable things, such as doing rehab stuff that I should have done 10 years ago. But whatever. Oh, this is where I got that from. This is a link that should have been on Late Night Lately. This comes from the New York Times, written by Zolan Kano Youngs. Trump pressures broadcasters over critical coverage, escalating attack on speech. Again, go to Late Night Lately, episode 72, where you can see me talk about Jimmy Kimmel getting suspended. But Trump, speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One, called the networks, quote, an arm of the Democrat Party who were out to get him. He's very paranoid. This 70-something-year-old man, who is our current president, is people are criticizing him, and he's using his power, as he should not, to take them down. And companies are just breaking under that pressure. And not even breaking, they're just saying, yes, sir, you can have whatever you want. Now, a big issue with the Jimmy Kimmel thing is that Nexstar, which has over 200 affiliates in America, I was going to say Atlanta, in America, it runs, 200 affiliates in America. It is looking to buy Tegna, which is one of its rivals. At that point, it will have roughly 80% of, media exposure, local news, whatever, exposure in America, which is well over what the FCC is allowing for them to, allows for companies in the same vein to have, which is 39%. Just like Paramount wanted when Skydance was pursuing to buy them and merge into these mega companies. They want to be able to break rules and become giant monopolies, and they're willing to work with Trump and his people and say, hey, if you want us to fire this person, if you want us to settle out of court because our broadcaster said something and you're suing us for however many billion, then we're willing to do it. And then Trump, the child that he is, and his little cronies, Brendan Carr of the FCC, and J.D. Vance, the guy who have sex with couches, and the rest of them, Kristi Noem, the thing that wants to be a real woman, the plastic mannequin that wants to be a real woman. They're all a part of it. Trump said after returning to Washington following a state visit to Britain, I have read someplace that networks were 97% against me. I get 97% negative, and yet I won easily. I would think maybe their license should be taken away. Jesus Christ. Oh my gosh. It has we're in a state of being that North Korea has always been in. We're living under like a true regime. It seems like we've jumped back 200 years. There's the oppression is coming, and because there are people and companies that don't want to make waves, that things have only and will only continue to get worse. This could have been stopped. This could have been stopped so many different times. Brendan Carr appeared on CNBC saying that he holding a broadcast license was a privilege, and saying, quote, it comes with an obligation to serve the public interest. I mean, if anything, he also appeared on Fox News, saying on Thursday that ABC's pulling the Kimmel show off the air was, quote, not the last shoe to drop. And then he also appeared on Scott Jennings, who is a conservative CNN commentator, which is But it's interesting. There's two frames of mind I want to get at really quick. I want to drop this news. Scott Jennings says the most damning things, and they're vitriolic and they're angry, and yet when other people who are hosts or commentators on CNN say something that is like mildly fiery, they get in trouble. And they're also told to remain objective. Whereas I understand Scott Jennings is a conservative political voice, but he on a weekly basis, on what seems like a daily basis, because I see clips of his dumb ass talking all the time. He's always saying something that if it was said on any other network, they would, besides Fox News, then they would be fired. And he's always starting fights. And it does make sense, actually, when you see that people like David Zaslav and Mark Thompson run Warner Brothers and CNN respectively. It's so interesting that they expect their people to work for them to remain objective, as they should, because it is news. But whatever. Now, the people that agree with them are getting a lot louder on CNN, which is just unfortunate to see. And then you have a company like MSNBC, which is being spun off, and now it's becoming more society news or whatever. It's like MS Now. I think that's what it's called. MS Now. That is just going to become much more of an unreliable source. And I don't think it has long to survive after that spinoff. And then when you have a person like, and I spoke about this in last week tonight in Late Night Lately, and then you have a company like Paramount Skydance, which is run by David Ellison, whose father is Larry Ellison. Paramount Sky, he's a conservative billionaire. He put in some money for Skydance to buy Paramount, and when that eventually goes through, there's the rumors of, I spoke about last week in last week's episode, of Warner Brothers Discovery potentially being bought out, rumored to be bought out by Paramount Skydance. He would own two major news sources in CBS News under Paramount Skydance and CNN under Warner Brothers Discovery. At that point, news doesn't exist anymore. It's going to be another focal piece, another conservative focal piece for legacy media. And that's not good. That's not something that we should want. We shouldn't want Nexstar to buy Tegna. We shouldn't want George Stephanopoulos and ABC News and CBS News and 60 Minutes to get sued by Trump because they're mad that they said that they reported the news. It's getting worse, and it's not going to get better unless you start fighting back. And in order to do that, you're going to have to do more than just report the news and remain objective. David Zaslav. It's getting bad and it's getting worse. Getting bad and it's getting worse. And the problem is they can't do anything because the FCC has the ability to revoke broadcast licenses and things of that nature. So if Brendan Carr suggests that, the license for ABC can be revoked, then Disney's got to be like, Bob Iger and Dana Walden and every other executive at Disney's going to be like, hey, we have advertisers, we have to save our bottom lines. Anyway, speaking of companies like this comes from Variety, written by Brian Steinberg. The big MSNBC-NBC News split starts October 6th. So MSNBC, as I mentioned, will be losing the NBC part, but they're keeping the Microsoft part, which is still strange. And they'll be becoming MS Now, Additionally, people who work for NBC News will not be working for MS Now. The two organizations, Comcast again is spinning off a lot of its cable assets into a new company called Versant, which I think lost some money in its stocks today. Versant stocks. This comes from CNBC. Sarah Whitten writes, Comcast spinoff Versant reports declining annual profit as it prepares to go public. Jesus. I mean, that's what's going to happen when, let's say Paramount Skydance isn't able to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. And next year in April, I believe that's when Warner Brothers Discovery is going to split into two companies. And David Zaslav is going to take the studios and the streaming side, the profitable sides, and he's going to pawn off the cable networks and everything else to the poor sap who has to run that stuff. Starting October 6th, staffers at both operations were told Wednesday domestic and international NBC News will no longer appear on MSNBC. Correspondents based in Washington, D.C. will continue to make appearances until October 20th, with MSNBC having to stand up a full independent news report and its own editorial standards after that day. Again, it's going to make it hard, especially in these first couple of months, for MS Now to be anything that anybody's going to trust and relate to and actually want to watch, because I can't imagine what that network's going to look like. And I don't know who is going to stay and who's going to go. The plan surfaces as Versant starts testing its ability to run independent editorial operations and workflows for both MSNBC and CNBC. The Versant and NBCU businesses are slated to be separated legally by Jan 1, 2026, and setting a plan for the next several weeks will allow Versant to test and fine-tune operations. We'll know what happens after October 20th, when the NBC editorial calls and meetings will be just stripped from the MS Now and whatever CNBC will be. I don't know what CNBC is going to become. In November, MSNBC will begin broadcasting its programs from new temporary facilities on West 43rd. Like, truly, Comcast is turning MSNBC into, like, it's going to be tough. And I think for once, CNN might finally take that second spot for once in this world. MS Now stands for my source for news, opinion, and the world, which is, again, the worst. It is the worst. It's so stupid. USA Network and Golf Channel will be housed under the brand USA Sports, much like TNT Sports. Is whatever the fuck it's doing. TNT, Inside the NBA, their YouTube channel renamed itself to TNT Sports, and the second I noticed it, I unsubscribed. It's gone. No more. Inside the NBA is gone, unfortunately. So, and they'll be doing one episode this year, which blows. Oh, it sucks. But you know what? I will say this: I do like Rich Eisen. And while I have yet to catch an entire 3-hour episode of his new show on Disney, I'm glad Rich Eisen has a place to be, although he was with Roku. And again, that was still such a difficult thing to watch. I could only see things like days after the fact. And again, I'm still not even watching him regularly. I don't think I ever have, and I don't think I ever will. Oh, CNBC will retain its current name, but it will get a new logo that nods to its history and expertise in business news. MSNBC and NBC News will soon be even more distinct from each other and more competitive. MSNBC in recent weeks has hired NBC News journalists, including Ken Dillion, Brandy Zardronsky, David Noriega, and Vaughn Hilliard. I only know one of those people. But I'm sure if I saw their faces, I could recognize everybody else. It's going to be very slow going at first. I cannot imagine that MS Now comes out of the gate with news as hard as again, I've mentioned this before in recent weeks, but the CBS affiliate here in Atlanta split essentially. The affiliate went off on its own, and CBS took control of the CBS channel, and the affiliate is now doing its own on a separate channel, and they're relying on roughly 15 to 18 hours worth of news. Like just it is crazy. And then like some sports from the Atlanta Dream and some baseball and some other things like that. And then CBS CBS News, CBS channel, CBS proper is doing, its original programming as well as CBS Evening News, and they're producing an Atlanta-based news show that premiered this week. I just happened to be watching CBS at the time that it started, and it looks just like CBS Evening News. They do a green screen, and they have actor Brian Unger, who is more known for his role as the lawyer on Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He happens to live in Georgia. He lives in North Georgia on a farm with his husband, and now he's Hollywood does not have a lot of jobs right now, and he's gone back to his first love of news reporting. He used to be a producer in CBS in New York. So now he's working here in Atlanta as a reporter. He was the first person within like seconds on that show. The anchor welcomed everybody, and then she threw to him, and I went, "Wait a minute, Brian Unger? I know that guy." And then in seconds, I was like, "Yeah, he's the lawyer from Always Sunny." Continuing off of TV, this comes from Luke Boma over at Cord Cutters News. Fubo and YouTube TV drop League Pass ahead of 2025-2026 season as Amazon gets exclusive streaming rights. I had no idea this happened. Just like how YouTube TV has exclusive rights for the Red Zone, this is going to be a very big shift for people who want to watch NBA games. Now, if you want to catch out-of-market games via NBA League Pass, you'll have to sign up with Prime Video's Amazon, as well as NBA League Pass. The decision stems from a new exclusivity deal between the NBA and Amazon, positioning Prime Video as the only option for the league's flagship streaming service. Oh, and then Luke sends you over to YouTube TV. Watch NBA League Pass on YouTube and YouTube TV. The NBA signed exclusivity agreement with Amazon. This is from their support page on Google. So we will be unable to continue offering NBA League Pass and WNBA League Pass on YouTube TV and primetime channels after September 30th. Wow. Yeah. The League Pass is roughly, I think, the better priced option when it comes to catching all the games of a sports. I don't follow Interleague Miami. Excuse me. Yeah, Interleague Miami, that soccer league. I guess it's the American Soccer League. I don't know what it is, but I don't follow that league. But they're on Apple TV. They were on Apple TV. I don't know if they are anymore. And then you could also get the MLB Pass But I think in terms of pricing, I feel as though the NBA League Pass was the best one. Because you would get so many games out of market. The pivot to Amazon. Sorry, I'm reading this. Subscribers on Fubo, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The pivot to Amazon exclusivity alters this landscape dramatically. Starting October 1st, 2025, just days after the current access window closes, fans will no longer find League Pass listed among Fubo's premium add-ons or YouTube TV's primetime channels. Instead, you have to subscribe directly through the NBA app or via Prime Video channels, which, again, you can go get the newly launched Peacock Prime Video channel, Apple TV Plus, the recently launched, within the last year, I think. HBO Max, all those, the channel add-ons through Prime Video, well, that's where you go get it. And hey, if you lose access to Amazon Prime, you lose access to that channel. That's exactly how it works. This is Bittersweet news, but it's kind of, if you're a Prime person, this is good news for Prime people who use Prime as that landing pad, because you can also watch Thursday Night Football, and there's a Bad Bunny concert tonight. I saw that on Prime, and I was like, I might watch that. I'm gonna watch the Bad Bunny concert live from Puerto Rico. Uno Mas is what it's called. His final residency show from Puerto Rico. Disney via ESPN and NBC Universal, they're getting a lot of games. Respectively, ESPN and ABC are getting 72 games. NBC's Peacock and NBC are getting 100 games. And Amazon's getting 66 games. Wow, Jesus. That's so many games. Between them, it's going to be amazing. Luke also writes, yet for diehard supporters of smaller market squads, and by amazing, I mean it's going to be confusing, like the Memphis Grizzlies or Orlando Magic, League Pass remains indispensable for following non-local tilts, especially during the grueling 82-game slate. I'm a fan of the Hawks and the Mavericks, and let me tell you, because Bally Sports dropped, the South, essentially. It's been a very tough thing to watch Hawks games, and since the Mavericks aren't on this coast, you don't watch a lot of Mavericks games. So everything on YouTube TV for me has been a little bit sparse. This is bad. You don't want things to be available in one place. Trust me. All right, let's move on to the next one. This comes from The Wrap, written by Lucas Manfredi, a very smart man named John Landgraf. I do like him in terms of the big wigs in charge of things. I do like him, but every so often he says something really fucking stupid. FX chairman John Landgraf says Hollywood consolidation is inevitable. A strange way to read that. As I've said this before, as I mentioned earlier in this episode, Paramount Skydance merger just happened. Warner Brothers Discovery was a merger that happened a couple of years ago, but now, hey, maybe Paramount Skydance wants to do an all-cash buyout of Warner Brothers Discovery. I think it was $6.2 billion, which is, Jesus. This is, earlier this week or late last week, David Zaslav said, we could be charging a lot. We should be charging a lot more for HBO Max. When you remove things and I go to the app and it is so sparse on Cartoon Network or HBO or even Food Network, there's nothing I want less than for someone than for a company to go, I'm going to charge more, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's already $20 some odd, even just to access Dolby. I can go to Disney Plus right now, and again, I know we're mad at Disney, but I can go to Disney Plus right now, or I can go to Hulu, and I can see a slew of stuff for Disney. There's a shit ton of things for Disney on Disney Plus, even though they're still missing a lot of stuff like the Aladdin TV show. I know it exists, but I want more of it. And then for Hulu, there's things from all corners of the television world. But I would even say there's more on Paramount Plus than there is on HBO Max. I watched Task last night before bed, the new Mark Ruffalo show, and I'll be dipped if I don't know what it's about. I'm sitting there like, what is this show about? Oh my gosh. Did I feel uncomfortable when I was watching it? Yeah, I did. But like uncomfortable, I felt the same kind of uncomfortable I felt watching. Well, I don't want to be mean about other shows. There are some shows I felt uncomfortable watching, and I just there's like something about it like that always like just hitting at me, and I'm thinking, no, I don't think I should be watching this. I don't think things are going well behind the scenes. I don't think anyone's having a good time. And then the shows get canceled and I go, thank God no one's putting a gun to my head to watch it. But sometimes I just want to see something through if I start it up. High Potential started its second season this week, and you better believe when I found out, so excited. That show is so good. Back to John Landgraf, the chairman of FX. He's saying consolidation is inevitable. Other big players that might be interested in buying up companies include Netflix, or excuse me, to compete with Netflix would be Apple, Amazon, YouTube. Kara Swisher said on Pivot that she said this kind of like nonchalantly that the rumor is Apple might want to buy Disney, which is something I do not like the idea of for a lot of reasons. And then also that, Amazon or somebody like Amazon would want to buy Warner Brothers just to compete. But, Amazon bought MGM, and that should be enough. They saved that storied studio. He said, Landgraf said, quote, "We have an industry that, from a structural standpoint, requires some consolidation. We can't have as many streaming services, certainly not global streaming services, and some of the great legacy majors in the United States don't really have enough scale." This was during an interview at the Royal Television Society's Cambridge Convention on Thursday of last week. I think that's why you see between Paramount, Universal, and Warner Bros. A desire to consolidate at least two of those companies to try to create another distributor that has a scale globally. I see what he's saying, what he's getting at. It's expensive for any one company. You see how long it took for Hulu to be distributed internationally. They ended up taking over Star, or you see how HBO Max wasn't as readily available around the world as it has been in recent years. But I think when you put it all together, you'd be making a monopoly. You'd be making things that they could come. We broke up from cable and from satellite because it costs so much money to watch and subscribe to any of those things, but that was the only way that we were able to get those. We were able to get shows from HBO or from Comedy Central, or and to have everything all in one place. If people did not have the option, besides getting a cable out of the wall and having some guy come over and do some switching on your CRT TV, your tube top TV, and go, you have cable now, illegally or illegally, or to get a cable box, without DVR before TiVo became a thing. To get a cable box and have that plugged into your house, and that's what we had, and to all of that be tied up into your modem and your phone and your all that stuff, your computer, your desktop computer, and then, when Netflix begins, and when Hulu and Netflix began in Hulu early in 2008, and Crackle, when you have all of these things that are readily available and comparatively cheap, people aren't going to want to pay for everything at once. But these bundles, I think the bundles have been something that people have been really attracted to. Case in point, me, I'm paying for a bundle right now, and I really do appreciate that, because I know damn well that if there was not a bundle available for Disney and Hulu and HBO Max, then I would not have. Also, if The Simpsons was not on Disney Plus, I would not be paying for Disney Plus. I think about that all the time. If The Simpsons was on Hulu, and I could watch The Simpsons and Family Guy and Bob's Burgers and American Dad on Hulu, then I would not have Disney Plus. But unfortunately, everything is going to Hulu. So these bundles are great, and if you're a big sports fan, then you can have ESPN and Disney and Hulu, and then you can pay for ad-supported Netflix, or you can have the highest tier Netflix, and then you can have ad-supported everything else. You can mix and match. You can pick and choose. It's what works. And eventually, when you have a company like Warner Brothers saying we're going to charge this much for HBO Max, people aren't going to subscribe anymore. You know why? Because there's nothing in there. That the app is so light that there's no reason to even have it downloaded on our phones. I don't think I've I'm not going to say I've never watched a show or a movie on my phone, but I don't travel. So, oh, you know what? I'm lying. Every time I'm on my treadmill, my iPad is the Peloton, has the Peloton class, and my phone is playing a TV show or a movie. But I'm not somebody who's like, you know, sitting at a restaurant. I don't know. Sitting at a coffee shop and watching something on my phone. This several months ago. I was at the gym, and people listen to music. They listen to podcasts, listen to audiobooks. I was putting up some dumbbells, and this guy was on a movable bench, and he got up from the bench and he put his phone down, and he was watching a movie, just fully watching a movie. And I was just thinking, how are you doing this? How are you? And like, imagine like having the phone, putting it down, doing whatever you have to do, and like the movie's still playing, and then you pick it back up, and you're just sitting there watching a movie. I didn't understand it, but I saw the widescreen, the ratio. I saw the widescreen ratio. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I laughed so hard. Landgraf emphasized that consolidation would be, quote, really hard for the creative community, noting that it means, quote, greater efficiency, and, quote, essentially, there'll be one less buyer. Very true. I don't like it. All right. Listen. I have one more story, but I think I'm going to hold it again until next week. That's all I have for you. If you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me sometimes talking to famous people. You can also go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see a video version of this show as well as a video version of the other podcasts. Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show, and LinkedIn Logs, the Jobs podcast. You can also find the interviews on youtube.com/cpluscomedy, and that's a video version of the conversations that I have with famous people, semi-famous people, quarter-famous people. You can subscribe to all those shows wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media at cpluscomedy, on Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. Me at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.